Hey guys, it's Maymay and welcome to our oven recipe card box. And this is one that was inspired by Scrappin Rabbit. It's a video I saw on her channel. She has all these instructions already for you. I will link her information in the description below and also in our blog post. Hey guys, if you haven't thought about it, consider subscribing to my channel. Hit that red button and set the notification bell so that we can always see each other when I put up a new video. So I love this little project, and you'll need to see part one to see how we got to this point. And let me show you what this looks like so far. It's the beginning of our oven. Today we're going to do some covering, and I have told you in the last video, I'm really trying to do this like Scrappin Rabbit did it because it's really, really cute the way she did it. So I'm going to show you how she did it because I think it will help you in future projects. Instead of me just giving you a bunch of measurements, I want to show you, okay? So this piece is the piece that goes over the top of the stove. It's our control panel, and I want to cover it. So the first thing I want to do is measure it. So this guy is, let's go all the way to the end here. He's 6 3/4, but I want it to, I want a little bit of the black to show. So I think I'm going to cut this down to 6 1/2. That may be too much. I'm not sure, but I think I'm going to go with 6 1/2. This paper, oh my goodness, it's not paper, it's cardstock, but it is adorable. So I don't know if you know this or not, but in my kitchen, I love copper. I collect copper things, and I was like, a copper stove would be the dream. So let's make one since we don't have one in our kitchen. So I'm cutting this down to 6 1/2 wide. And what she did was she just sort of wrapped this around underneath, wrapped it, and then where it ended, she cut it off, right? So we're going to do the same thing. I'm not going to measure the whole piece. I'm just going to go ahead and start applying it. And wherever it lands, it lands. So I'm going to start by putting on some sticky tape. That's what she did, and I think that's the best option. This might be a great place to use that 2-inch Elizabeth tape. If you've picked that up, it's really cool. We use it for a lot of stuff. This might be a good place for it. I'm not sure about that. So I'm just going to apply some sticky tape around this guy. Let me get my little block. This is what I use to cut my tape. And I'm going to put it on here rather than on the paper, rather than on the cardstock, because I want to be sure I have it where I need it. And since I'm not cutting my cardstock to a specific size, I'm going to do it this way. Now, I'm probably using more tape than you need. And the reason I am is because I'm using this metal-like paper or cardstock. And I don't know how great it's going to take the bending and all of that around this little box. So I want to be super, super cautious. Now, the only thing I'm trying to do is avoid the very, very edge. And the reason for that is, my cardstock's not going to go all the way to the edge here. All right, so I'm going to go around, put my tape on. We'll get right back together. Now, before we start to wrap this, I want to establish the bottom from the top. And here's why. I want to show you this. When I built this, do you see I didn't do a very, very great job? See how it's kind of angled? I don't even know if it shows on camera. I don't want this to lean inward, so I'm going to make sure I put the right side down. Since it's leaning, I want it to lean back, so I want this to be the bottom. So you just want to evaluate that first, because you want to start your paper or your cardstock wrapping on the bottom. So I'm going to take these guys off of here. Actually, I think I'm just going to take one off for now, and I'll show you why. We're going to wrap kind of halfway around to start. All right, so I'm going to establish where I want this guy to be from end to end. That feels pretty good. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap this, and wherever it goes, I'm going to crease, and then I'll pull up that sticky tape and stick it down. This is actually doing really nicely. I kind of like how that's doing. So I'm going to reveal all the sticky tape here. So I got all that revealed. So I'm going to press this down into my tape, just like so. Now, I'm going to tell you something. If you're going to use this metal, you need to know it's going to show every little blemish. I'm not going to stress about that. It's going to show little divots and things that are in the cardstock, but I think by the time we get it all decorated, it's going to be super cute and you won't notice. So I'm just going to keep wrapping. Matter of fact, I may just leave this like this and press it down. Let's see how that did. I just thought the way she wrapped it was so cute because it just kind of made it look like one piece instead of a whole, just a bunch of little separate pieces. I just liked it. All right, let's continue wrapping. Okay, so here I am at the end, and I can tell that I don't need all this. I don't need this whole piece. I'm going to cut that away. I'm just going to use my scissors. The reason for this, it's underneath. You're not going to see it. I just want to make sure I have enough down here to wrap over. So this is a real good way to do this because I'm not wasting any cardstock in any way. I've got that whole sheet I can use somewhere else, and I can use it. All right, last piece. Look at our little control panel. Oh, I'm just loving it. This is now going to go here as the top of our little pink stove. It's not really pink, it's rose gold. All right, now we need to wrap this piece. And she did it very much the same. So let's cut a piece. Let's apply our sticky tape all around. Now starting here on the end, I've released the backer paper. I'm going to line up my copper to either side how I want it. Very carefully. It's early in the morning, and you guys know this about me. I'm a shaker, and I'm really shaky this morning. All right, so there's that. Now I'm going to reveal all of this just like we did. You probably can't see for the cardstock. And now just continue to wrap. Now I think I'm going to use my blade to cut that away instead of the scissors so I can get that right up to it. Look how neat. I love this little guy. Let me put my lid back on this blade. And I think he's coming along really nicely. So here's the stove top. This is my little control panel. I think that's the right way. Let me see. Yeah, that was the right way this way. So that is going to be the top of my little stove. Now, you could totally do this in any kind of color or pattern, but I'm really excited about the copper. All right, let's attach our control panel to the top now. My plan is to put down our sticky tape just like we've been doing. And then I'm going to add art glitter glue. So I'm going to use 2 glues here. Scrappin Rabbit used hot glue. That's a really good option. I don't know that I'm going to need it. If I find that this is not sticking like I want it to, then I will consider the hot glue. But I think this will work just fine. The biggest thing, look, I just stuck my block down. The biggest thing is you want to be sure that you're getting a good adhesion. So you want to make sure, because this is not going to be perfectly flat because this is a handmade project. You just want to be sure that it's going to attach really well. And you want to make sure you have your front versus your back. This is my front, okay? And you want to make sure you pick the side of the box you want to be the front of your box. Mine look pretty much the same on either side. And now I'm going to glue this guy up a good bit. So a lot more art glitter glue than I usually use, but I think it's a good place for it. So now I'm going to place this down and let the sticky tape and the glue do its magic. So this is now the top of my stove. Let's bring the box back over, and it's going to live on top like this. This is the cutest project. Okay, so there's the top of my little stove, and now we can work on the box itself, and then we can start decorating. Okay, for the box, she matted. Instead of wrapping, she matted. And I agree with that too, because you got some nice squares here. Look, I've missed a section. I want to put a strip right here to cover that up, and then we can start covering this guy. That explains why I had this one laying there. I had this one piece, and I'm like, why do I have this piece left? Well, here's why. I did not wrap this end. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to measure each side and then take 1/4 inch off. So this one is 4 1/4. So I want to cut a piece that's 4 by 4 1/2, and that's going to be what I put here on the sides. So let's cut 2 pieces there, 4 by 4 1/2. Then while I got the trimmer out, let's do the front panels, and I'm going to cut them 6 3/8 by 4 1/2. So 6 3/8 by 4 1/2, 2 pieces. Now that I got my pieces cut, I'm just going to run around and glue them on. So my sides are covered. I want to cover the base as well. And I'm not using the very same paper. I'm using another piece from the paper pack. So I'm just going to use this one here. And just glue this one down. There we go. This is super cute. Let's put our lid back on. So adorable. Our stove is really coming together. One thing I want to caution you about is the more you build your stove, the more you add thickness here, the tighter your lid's going to get. So you want to be careful of that. You don't want to add paper that's super, super thick or any dimension or anything there. Now we need to cover these sides, and you guessed it, I'm going to measure and slice just like we did here. So I want to caution you about something because I know this is going to bother some of you guys. So before you use this metal paper, this metal look paper, I want to show you this. I don't know if camera's picking it up, but you can see where my glue is and the reason for that. So this paper is metal fronted, but it's just paper backed. So anytime you get paper wet, it's going to warp it in some way, right? So it has done that underneath. The way around it is use the sticky tape. Look, the top has none of that, has none of the glue showing. It's just where I use the glue. So if that bothers you, make sure when you're using this metal look paper, use the sticky tape. I remembered that from before. Well, I knew that from before, but I clearly forgot it. So it is what it is. It's not bothering me. And a lot of times as it dries, that'll kind of go away. But I think this is going to be so cute with all the embellishments on it. The last thing people are going to be looking at is the glue marks, honestly. I think by the time we get it completely done up, we're going to be in love and we're not going to care about that. So we're going to keep going. All right, it is time to decorate. I think I'm going to go ahead and put my stove door on the front. So let me work on that. So I'm going to step outside my comfort zone and I'm going to glitter this little guy up. I think it'll be cute to have the glitter as a contrast for the door rather than having the same door. And remember, you're going to use the measurements that you get from the blog post from Scrappin Rabbit. So I'm going to use those measurements to make my door. Now I'm also scoring my oven door based on the instructions, the video from Scrappin Rabbit. This is going to be the piece that attaches to our inside of our stove, but we need to do one more thing to our stove. She did a cutout to make a window, and I want to do that as well. So let me show you how I'm going to do it. So she makes a template, and your instructions are in her blog post. This is the template, and I want to place it here. Now, I'm an eyeballer, but if you don't want to eyeball, if you want to measure, you can. But I'm just going to eyeball this into the center of this little guy, and I'm kind of using my cutting mat to help me. I'm going to lay this here, and then just kind of pay attention to that and get myself a little oven window. And the way I'm going to do it is trace it and then cut it out. The next thing I want to do is I want to fold my score line. So I'm through with my template for now. Well, we may use it again. I can't remember. It seems like we do, but we'll see. So I'm going to fold the little oven door, and I'm going to go ahead and crease this down. And then I'm going to go to my corner rounder and round all of these edges. And I'm going to use my 1/2-inch corner round. So I'm just going to stick this in here like so and round this out. And you want to round all the corners. So you want this to be folded when you do the round, so that way it'll make sense, it'll match. So this is going to become your oven door. Isn't that adorable? I love the glitter. Oh my goodness, that's so cute. I'll have to hold it up and look. Okay, so now we need to do the inside piece of this. So for the inside, she glued this black piece. You do have the measurements for this in your kit. She glued this black piece inside. I want to see if that's enough. Yeah, that's plenty to cover it. So she glued that in, and I'm going to do the same. Just going to add some glue to this end here. And then stick that down to it. And you don't want to cover up your score line, but you do want to kind of sink this little guy in here. Pretty straight. If he hangs out the top, you can always trim him off. He's doing fine right there, so I want to do that number. And then something else she did, and you might want to do this too, is back here in the back, do you see where it doesn't exactly match up? She snipped that away just for clean, for it to look clean. So right to the little black piece there, which is the inside of your oven, she just snipped that off. And see how clean that looks? Looks good. Let's do it here too. Perfect. Okay. So this is now our little oven door, but we've got a couple things we need to do. We need to add a piece of acetate, and we want to put another piece like this on top to sink that acetate in. So let's do those two pieces. So I've got my acetate cut, and it's just enough to hide behind the stove. You see it'll be clear here, but it'll be hidden behind the stove here. And this is where I'm going to pull out my paper pack. I don't want to put the metal behind here, because I'm going to be using a magnet. I'm not sure how it would do, so I'm going to use just regular cardstock. So here's where I'm going to find a piece that I want to back this guy with. Let's see what I can find. So this is the piece I decided to put on the inside, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my stovetop as my template, and I'm just going to trace this and then cut out right inside my traced line. So just going to run around here like so. Now, one thing, when you're tracing, make sure you place your stovetop face side down. So if your pencil slips, it slips on the back side because all of that's going to be hidden. You won't see it. So that way you won't have any issues. All right, so there's my piece to cut out. So let me do that. Okay, so we got it. Let's bring the acetate over. So the acetate will live here, okay? And then this piece will live here. Now, if you want to hide your magnet, you need to put it underneath here and underneath here. I don't usually care if I hide them, but I think I'll hide it so you can see that being done. So what I'm going to do first is glue down this acetate. And you know what? I'm going to use sticky tape here. And the reason is I find with acetate a lot of times the glue takes a long time to dry on it. I want to make sure this will fit. It will. So I'm just going to use sticky tape to hold that down. It'll be hidden. We're going to hide it inside our little sandwiched piece. But sometimes it takes a little while for that, for wet glue to dry with acetate, and I don't want to wait for that. So I've revealed the tape, and now I'm just going to place this in. We'll start down here at the bottom. I know I don't want to overlap my score line, so I'm going to start down here. So if I need to trim any away, I can trim it from the top, but it looks like we're good. We are all in there. Okay, now let's put our magnets on. Okay, so we've got our acetate down. I'm going to go ahead and put this guy on top just like so. Just going to glue this down in here. Again, I'm going to use the sticky tape because of the acetate in there to make sure it dries quick. And my magnets are going to be exposed. I'm not going to hide them. I don't mind them being exposed. I think they're pretty and they're clean, so they'll look good. Oh, that's cute with the pies inside. You know what? I'm going to use that side. I'm going to use the pie side because if you opened up an oven, what would you want inside of it besides a pie, right? Oh, I said I was using sticky tape, but I just went against what I said, didn't I? Just picked this up and went to town. So let's see what happens. What a morning, y'all. Ooh, the behind the scenes are just as good as the real thing. Okay, so we're going to see what happens. It'll be fine. It just takes a little longer to dry on the plastic, but it'll do it. You guys ever say you're going to do something and do something completely different? Come on, I know you do. You got to be like me. All right, so I've got a little bit of that showing through the window. I want to get it fixed. Good deal. So you cannot see it. The other reason I'm not a big fan of using liquid glue around acetate is I tend to always get it on there. You can get it off. I just tend to always get it on my acetate somehow. All right, let's fold this guy down. I need to trim. I got a little bit off right here. So I'm going to put this guy where I want him. Then I'm going to trim that little bit. I went a little bit heavy on that side. All that's doing is pushing against my score mark, and I don't want to do that because if it does that, it won't close right. So, I mean, just a sliver came off. Let's see if that helps. Yeah, much better. Much better. All right, let's recrease it. Just like so. Now let's add our magnet and see how well this goes. So my magnets are going to show. I'm not picky about that. A lot of people are. If you are, you can hide your magnets under your cardstock and things. But I kind of like for them to show. A couple reasons. If I put this into my store as a show piece, like as a presentation or a demo piece, people want to know how we get the closures. And if my magnets show, they know, if that makes sense. They also know which ones I used. So I'm going to put this one here. And then my other magnet is going to go right up there. But here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to sit them together. And remember, these are the basic gray that have the adhesive already on them, which makes life super easy. So I just magnetize them together, and then I'm going to close my stove. Now I want to show you. Some of my magnet is going to hang over, and that's okay. It's still going to be hidden, but that will get stuck to the actual stove itself. So that won't be a big deal. We'll get that open. So you see how it lifts up a little bit? It's fine that it shows to me. Some people don't like that. So if you don't like it, just hide it. All right, let's bring our stove over so we can put our door on. So I'm going to close this down just like so. And then our little door is going to go like this. Now, I can't decide if I want to sticky tape it or wet glue it. I may do a little of both on this one just to make sure this stays, especially since I'm going to be pulling the door. So let me put the tape on and some glue. Okay, so where the tape isn't, I'm definitely going to add some wet glue. I want this whole guy stuck down. And then I'm just going to add a little bit in here as well and a tiny drop on the back of the magnet just to add a little extra. Now I'm going to put my oven door on with my lid on because I want to make sure I get it in the spot that I want it, and I want to try to center it as best I can. This is going to be a little difficult. I should have probably measured. I did not. All right, we're hoping that's right. Feels okay to me. All right, what I'm going to do is take the lid off, do this number, and press that down. And give that a second to dry before you go to pull on it. Before you go in there and open your oven door. It's so cute, though. It's so cute. I like adding the little glitter to the front. I think that's a good accent piece. I may use that glitter at the top as well and any other places that I do little designs. I think that's cute on there. All right, let's see. Let's try to open it. Oh, it works. It works. And I'm okay with that magnet. I know that magnet bothers people, but for me, it's perfectly fine. All right. Here's the deal. I've got a lot of footage here. And so what we're going to do is call this part 2. And part 3 is going to be the embellishments and making our cards for the inside. Okay. So part 3 is coming up. Today is Tuesday. When you're seeing this video, you'll see part 3 on Saturday, and we'll have this guy completely done. I really love how this has turned out. And I know today's video may be a little short, but you need to get caught up to this point so we can do all the fun decorating. All right, guys, don't forget, all of this information, I'm going to bring this over to you here. All of this information is at Scrappin Rabbit's website. I just fell in love with her stove, and I'm like, I wanted to make a stove. And instead of reinventing it, I'm going to use hers to do it with because I think it's super cute. And I think you guys will like it too. So in the description of this video, you'll have a link to her videos. You'll have a link to her printables because this is a whole printout you can get to get the instructions. And you can get some inspiration from her too because she did her oven completely different than mine. Completely different. Don't forget, we're going to want to see these stoves. Be sure that you share with us on our customer gallery what you're making. We want to see it. And if you need some inspiration, that's a great place to get some over on our customer gallery. Don't forget to subscribe, guys, and give this video a big old thumbs up. And until next time, bye now.